Hi, this is a skills-based video. We're looking at how you would plan an investigation. So if you're in 9, 10, 11, 12, or even 13, this video is for you. So we're going to look at a question that is about stem cells. It's a question that asks us to evaluate and write a conclusion, and you wonder how hard can it be, because it actually gives us a lot of information in the text that is supplied in the question. Now, we all know that the mark scheme and past paper questions are invaluable in getting to pass that exam. But what you really need to start considering is using the examiner's report. Every year, the chief examiner pulls together the common misconceptions, the common mistakes that students are making, and explains why they're not achieving the grades, the full grade. So a lot of the time it's on exam technique. The students know the biology, they're just falling down on exam technique. So it would be really foolish if we didn't use the examiner's report. So if we think about this question specifically, when students just wrote lists of advantages and disadvantages, they didn't gain any marks. In the question, it asks you to evaluate the use of this or this. In other words, it's asking you to compare. When we compare, we have to choose like things. You can't just say that stem cell technology from embryos is a new method. You need to say technology using stem cell embryos is a new method. However, using the stem cells found in bone marrow is tried and tested. And it's that use of the word however which will get you the marks, because it's a comparative word. It's showing that you've considered one side and the other. So statements like this one will gain no credit because they're not comparative. Let's compare it to this one. And it might seem crazy, but with the addition of the word however and writing this response, you would gain credit and you would get the marks. So here's an even better way of doing it. Let's look at this sentence. It says embryonic stem cells can treat a wider variety of diseases. That's an even better sentence because we've already got the comparative part in there by saying the wider as opposed to a wide, and we've also added to the information that we gave. We were told that embryonic stem cells could turn into a wide variety of cells. That means that if they turn into a wide variety of cells, they're able to treat a wider variety of diseases. And so you haven't just paraphrased the information from the table, you've been able to use it and you've added a little bit of your own content on there, and that is what the question wants. The question also asks for a conclusion. When you're writing a conclusion, you can't just say, oh, I believe in this side and I believe in that side. You need to stick to one side, whichever side is absolutely fine, but then you need to justify your reason without just repeating something that you've written down. When we're asked to evaluate, we're looking at advantages and disadvantages. You wouldn't just be able to compare embryonic stem cells and bone marrow stem cells and just look at the advantages of both. You've got to have at least one advantage amongst your disadvantages, or at least one disadvantage against your advantages. Okay, so let's have a look at this written response. It says embryonic stem cells are able to treat a wider variety of diseases compared to bone marrow stem cells. So we've got the comparison in there almost twice. We've also related what the text said to something new. The text just said that it was able to turn into a greater variety of cells. From that, we've inferred that you can treat a greater variety of diseases. Tick. We've also said the collection of embryonic stem cells is painless. However, nice little comparative phrase there, the collection of bone marrow stem cells is painful and there is a chance of infection. Again, we've used our knowledge and we've added something extra from the text. The use of bone marrow stem cells is tried and tested, Whereas, comparative language, the treatment of human disease using embryonic stem cells is fairly new, and it might not work. Because it's fairly new, because it's still under trial, it might not actually have the desired result. Again, we've inferred something extra from the text. Brilliant. Okay, what else? Here's our conclusion. In conclusion, always good to put that so that the examiner, when they're marking it, they can skip down and go straight away and know they've put a conclusion in there. But what we're trying to avoid is just repeating stuff that we've already said. In conclusion, embryonic stem cells should be used. We're not sitting on the fence. We're not saying, well, this one's good, but that one's good as well. We're coming up with a conclusion, and then we're going to justify it. In conclusion, embryonic stem cells should be used as if their use is successful, a wider variety of diseases can be treated, and it saves wasting embryo cells. We've not mentioned that yet, and so we've given a very definite answer to which type we think they should be used, and we've explained our answer as well. Now, one more thing just to note is that we've talked about embryonic stem cells are good. Embryonic stem cells are good there because they are less painful. However, in the third sentence, we've said bone marrow cells are better than embryonic ones. So we've done, in terms of embryonic stem cells, we've done a pro, and a con. And so we've got that mixture in there. What you need to be able to do is apply what we've learnt today to any other evaluate question. You can't just look at the text and pluck bits out, advantages and disadvantages, and compare them. That's too easy. What we're using is the information, we're inferring from it, we're using comparative language, and then what we're doing is we are writing a conclusion with a very firm explanation as to why we've said one is better than the other.